Hi, I'm Sunny, and this is my podcast, Creator, Created, Creating. Short and sweet mindset shifts for intentional life creation. Getting Triggy with it. You guys, Kenny said that to me one time. If you're new here, Kenny's my husband. And we were talking about triggers, and I was telling him how I had gotten triggered by something. And he said, "Oh, getting triggy with it, huh?" I just loved that so much. But I wanted to do an episode about being triggered. And so that title immediately popped into my head, and I love it. So what I want to talk about is when you get triggered. And because, the reason why this came to my mind is because I get triggered all the time. And I also, on the other side of that, I also worry all the time, or I used to worry a lot more, that what I say or how I say it or the words I use will trigger you. And so I used to do a lot of tap dancing, a lot of editing, a lot of explaining myself, a lot of all of those things in order to avoid triggering you. And because that would trigger me. So it was really just to avoid my own triggering, right? Because if other people are triggered by what I say, I don't actually feel that or even know that until it's brought to my attention somehow. But I do care, and I don't want to make people feel triggered. And at the same time, I know that the triggers are gold. The triggers are gold. And that's why I share my magical mirror process with you about things that trigger us. And that's because extracting the golden nugget that you're wanting to find resolution in, or bring into balance, or heal, or transform, or let go, are in those triggers. But also, I just wanted to bring to our attention that when we say things, I'm sure you've all had this experience where you have said something to somebody, or you've been sharing something with somebody, and they heard a completely different thing than what you said or what you meant. Like what they heard, you're literally shocked by. You're like, you heard that from what I said? And that's just further proof that we're always only looking through our own lens at everything all the time. We're only hearing through our own lens. We're only seeing through our own lens. We're only taking in information through our own lens. And so if we've got some fog on our lens in a particular area and somebody says something and it hits that spot in us, it's like, ooh, that rubs me the wrong way. I am triggered. And so anytime that I trigger you, and anytime that anyone else triggers you, I'm just offering what I do when I feel that, is I look for the cause. Why? First of all, what am I feeling? Just notice what the emotion is without judgment. I'm angry. I'm annoyed. I'm disgusted. I'm sad. There's a lot of emotions that could come up, but looking for that emotion. What is it? And so number one, name the emotion. What is it? And number two, why do you think, why? Why? And if that's too vague, then just look at what did I make it mean? So that can be the third one. Like, what did I make that, whatever that said, however that hit me, whatever I'm feeling, what did I make it mean about me? What did I make it mean about the world? And then once you know what you made it mean about you or about the world, then ask yourself, like, is that true? And just keep going with this line of questioning. You can do any kind of line of questioning you want. But the point is to get curious in your own way, or just journal about it, or just get out or voice journal about it if you don't feel like writing with your physical hands or typing or anything. Like, get a voice memo out on your phone and talk to yourself out loud about it. Okay, honey, I see you're upset. Tell me about it. Okay, I'm upset because this and that and this and that. Oh, where do you think that comes from? Or, whatever. Your intuitive line of questioning will be right on. Like, your intuitive self knows how to meet that. So trust yourself on that and how you want to meet that. But just see what's there. And then you don't have to go into a big, thing with that. Once you see what it is that got triggered, like what fundamental belief, like maybe it's just something as simple as, I don't feel safe, or I don't feel like it's okay to be me, or that disagrees with the way that I see and experience life in the universe, or whatever it is, then give yourself whatever you need around that. So then you go like, oh, okay, well, I can just embody my own truth and my own choice. Or, oh, actually, I thought it meant this, but really I think that just hit my wound that I don't feel like I'm enough, or I'm good enough, or I'm doing enough, or something. Or, oh, I was taught that was really wrong and bad, and that made me feel like I was breaking some kind of rules and like I'm going to get in trouble for even listening to this. Or whatever, though, it can run the gamut, right? It can run the gamut of things. But the point is just to get curious about those triggers instead of just stopping at the point of, I'm triggered. Find out what's coming up, what wants to be met, what wants to be seen. And a lot of times we don't want to meet it and we don't want to fully see it because then we think we're going to have to do something with it or stay in that feeling or something like that. But that's not actually the case. Your simple awareness of whatever it is with some spaciousness and without judgment, that this is the feeling I'm feeling, this is the response that I'm having, this is what I'm making it mean. Just being with it in that way automatically is transforming it into something else. It's automatically healing it. It's automatically letting it flow through and flush through your system in a different way. Because it's kind of like, picture this, like there's a little blue dot and it's kind of like going along a trajectory, and then it hits this wall, right? It hits this wall and then it just keeps bouncing up against this wall. And then maybe you're like, eek, and then the blue dot just flows back a little ways. So it's not going to hit the wall immediately, but it will eventually come back and hit that wall. But when you meet it with your aware presence, without judgment, with unconditional love and a willingness to hear yourself out and understand this, then that wall just dissolves. And then the blue dot can just flow right through. It can just keep going instead of just being stuck on this loop where it just hits this wall over and over and over again. So that's the difference between just feeling triggered, feeling big emotions, and then just kind of shutting down at that point, or just stopping there instead of bringing some curiosity and some awareness to that moment so that it can come into balance, so that it can go back into its regular normal flow. Because everything that's ever was part of us always will be part of us in some way, shape, or form. But it just wasn't meant to be the big monster that it's currently seeming to be. That's all. And it only becomes that when it's blocked from its flow. So we can unblock its flow by releasing our judgment of it and meeting it with love, as I always say. So I hope that was helpful. And I just wanted to share that. And you are free to use Kenny's brilliant Gettin' Triggy with it line every time you see yourself getting triggered. And it will automatically lighten the mood. Although it depends on how triggered you are, because sometimes there's no kind of joke that will bring me out of my triggers. When I'm in there, I'm really in there. And I need to be in there for a minute. And that's fine. That's totally fine. That is how we weave awareness and new awareness and deeper awareness and quote unquote higher awareness into those pains. We weave them with love and they change. All right. See you guys next time. Bye. Thanks for joining me today. And if you'd like to find out more about me and my work, you can find me at sunnychapman.com.